People made fun of her when they heard her call the tree her mother, never understanding the truth behind her bizarre behavior. The floodwaters had completely consumed the small, remote Italian village. Not only were homes and buildings swept away, but even the villagers were caught up in the floodwaters, including Rosa, an expectant mother who was 7 months pregnant. In the dark, she was washed away in the black water with debris from the destruction. A ray of hope appeared as Rosa ended up flung against a large tree by the currents.
I still have nightmares of that day. Everything was pitch black and cold, and all I could hear was thunder and rushing water. Once thrown against a tree, my instincts kicked in and I climbed it. I never climbed a tree in my life, but at that very moment I had to. It wasn't just for me, but for my unborn child.
However, the stress of the situation would drive Rosa into an early labor. In the darkness and icy cold rain, her contractions were incredibly painful. Yet somehow, she managed to stay calm and focused. After hours of agonizing contractions and pushing, the sound of a crying baby joined the chorus of rain and thunder. Due to their location, it took 2 days for rescuers to locate them. Once found, they were quickly airlifted to the nearest hospital. There, doctors were amazed at their condition. Despite the blood loss, exhaustion and dehydration Rosa had faced, she was still bright and alert as though she had a restful 2 days instead. Her newborn daughter, Luisa, was healthy as well despite being premature. Because of that, the two were soon discharged. After a couple of weeks, the floodwaters subsided, and the villagers returned to begin rebuilding their homes. Rosa would visit the tree that saved her life and cut down a branch.
I wanted Luisa and myself to remember this miracle, so I turned some of the wood into little beads to make an anklet. That way, Luisa can carry a piece of that miracle with her for good luck.
But as Luisa grew up, her mother would notice her odd behavior. Each day, she would look out the window in direction of the tree she was born in, and when she was learning to walk, she would always try going out to it. Despite Luisa's strange habits, Rosa had a great deal to be proud of. Unlike her mother who couldn't even finish high school, Luisa showed signs of high intelligence.
She was already speaking fluently at the age of 2. On top of that, she had even taught herself to read without any help, and soon was able to memorize books at a single glance. The nearest school was 2 hours away from our village. But I was determined for Luisa's brilliance to flourish. So, when she graduated high school at the age of 6, I couldn't stop crying with happiness and pride.
However, Rosa remained very worried for Luisa, as she still spent all her time up in the tree she was born in. Many days, Rosa would have to remind her to come down to sleep and eat. Luisa couldn't explain her behavior either. The little girl simply claimed she felt happiest when with the tree. Rosa felt that something had to be wrong with her only child, and as she looked for help, she would find Dr. Nicolo, a retired neuroscientist who lived in the nearest town. He boasted 45 years of experience and was still well respected in his field.
I originally believed it a simple psychological issue, but I decided to visit the village myself and meet with Luisa. She was up in that old tree again when we met. As I was interviewing her, there was a very pleasant warm scent in the air, and as more time passed, I felt a change in my head. With old age, my mind had started growing slower and foggier, but after 30 minutes with the tree, I felt like I was young again. I was able to think and remember things far clearer than ever before.
Dr. Nicolo was immediately intrigued by this tree, and was quick to start researching its history. He was amazed by his findings.
The tree is an old cedar wood that's over 1,000 years old. History states that locals once prayed to it back in the Middle Ages, claiming a god lived in the tree that granted wisdom and intelligence. But with extensive lab testing, I found out the real reason behind this. The tree contains a high concentration of sesquiterpenes. This sesquiterpene was far more effective than any known strains. It helps elevate brain power and thinking skills by entering brain tissue, and stimulating neurotransmitters transmission speed by 75%, allowing the brain to process and deliver information rapidly. Additionally, thanks to its ability to increase oxygen levels in the brain, it also encourages the healing and production of healthy neurons.
Dr. Nicolo would test the raw cedar wood on himself for a week, and the changes noted were startling. He was once again able to keep up with the latest research papers, whilst more ideas filled his mind through the day. Dr. Nicolo realized that this discovery could aid so many others, but unfortunately, the tree was the last of its kind, and it would take a century for new ones to be grown. Instead, he worked to create a formula to combine the essence of the tree with other, younger and readily available cedar wood trees. He and his team worked tirelessly, but their efforts paid off, as they were ready to introduce Visidro to the world. Luisa was the first person to use Visidro, as she was moving to attend university at the age of 9.
I love Isidro and use it every day. Whenever I smell this warm fragrance, it reminds me of my second mother. Even though I've moved so far away, Isidro makes sure that my home and my mother are with me wherever I am.
Luisa continued using the Cedro to help bolster her mental abilities. And at the age of 12, she not only graduated with flying colors, but is now a respected environmental scientist, leading a team on a project to combat global warming. Another of the 150,000 users of the Cedro is Liam, aged 74.
I've been having trouble with my memory as I got older. From forgetting chores to forgetting my own grandchildren. But ever since I started using Vasedro, I've got the memory of an elephant. I can even remember each word from articles after just one read.
To protect the ancient cedarwood tree, production is limited, with harvests under tight control and only happening once a year. Stocks are dwindling fast, so what are you waiting for? It's never too late to plant the seed of genius in you. Click on the link below and let it grow.